another day, another video, just to discuss things to do with taxi business in Kenya, as well as vehicle importation. So for those people who followed me recently because of my updates about vehicle importation, the genesis and the origin of this channel was actually inspired by the desire to make more money as a side hustle when people drive taxi, part-time, or you buy a vehicle and you give it to a driver. So if you want to learn more about taxi business, there are so many videos that I have done. But also, I came to realize that you cannot discuss much about taxi business without also discussing about the vehicles, because it is these vehicles that are at the heart of the taxi industry. So that's why sometimes recently we discuss more about vehicle acquisition strategies, including sourcing vehicles locally, both ex-Japan, and locally used, as well as importing. So my recent video that I did, I was trying to discuss about how importers, if you are an individual wanting to import a vehicle from Japan, how the quality of the vehicle determines the price. And if you're looking to save money, then you might not always get the best quality. And I bought about the issue of auction sheet. And for those people who are new on this channel, the auction sheet, I would say it is like a document that highlights the defects and the selling values of a vehicle if you want to buy from the Japan auction. So what happens for those who are new to this channel is that if you want to buy a vehicle and sell from Japan, there are those auction markets. So in Kenya, we only know auctions in relation to things that relate to repossession. If you are unable to buy your car, to pay your car according to the payment schedule, then your bank could repossess it and sell it in an open marketplace. So what they give is just the starting price, but the actual selling price of the vehicle will be determined by the competition from the buyers. So in Kenya, we don't have auction sheets. We don't have any information about the vehicle that you are going to buy. Okay, if you are going to, let's say, NCBA auction for motor vehicles, the only thing they will tell you is that this vehicle is being sold as it is. Okay, as it is, you have no idea. But sometimes they can tell you the vehicle is in this yard. So if you want to go and see it, then you can decide whether you want to go and compete in the bidding process or if you don't want. So in Japan, they make this process very, very easy for anyone, even people outside the country, to see the vehicle virtually through the auction sheet. So the auction sheet will have the general description of the vehicle. Let's say the mileage, the CC, the color, the year of manufacture, the history of usage. Let's say they will say it was for public or for private. And then from what they can see physically, they are able to determine the selling points as well as the weak points of that car. Okay. So in my discussion in my last video, I highlighted that auction sheet is one that helps you to determine the quality of your vehicle, because you cannot take a plane from Kenya all the way to Japan to go and see that vehicle physically. Okay, so that is not possible. Again, some people commented and said, vehicles in Japan are not always sold at the auction, which is a very, very critical point that I wanted us to dig deeper during this video. Because what we are saying is that if I'm an individual in Japan, I can take my vehicle to the auction house and then it will be marketed and sold, okay, based on the auction sheet. But let's say I am Al Hassan Motors, I am Mascadi, I am all these dealers we know in Kenya who have their vehicles in the showroom. And these vehicles, maybe they did not buy from the auction. They just bought them from individuals like myself. I say, instead of going through the auction, let me just sell to this guy who is buying because he has a showroom. In that case, that vehicle will not have an auction sheet. Okay? So what happens? What can give you information about the quality and the condition of that car in the absence of the auction sheet. And that is where now the dilemma strikes. If you try to buy a vehicle that has not been bought through the auction sheet, then you must have a relationship with the one selling it. Okay? You must have built a partnership and solid trust over time with the person selling that vehicle to you. Because what I mentioned in my last video is this: when your car does not pass through the auction, it goes straight to the dealer. Those are called the fixed price markets. So if you come to me or someone importing a vehicle and say that you don't want to buy from the auction, you want to buy from the fixed price market, those normally are the local dealers, meaning that their prices have already been determined. Okay? It is not about bidding. It is not about who pays more. It is about what is displayed as the list price of the vehicle, and whoever pays that amount is the one who goes with the car. So in that case, dealers in Japan, they develop what we call the in-house auction sheets, okay, or the in-house vehicle condition sheet. In that case, they will not necessarily call it auction sheet, but it is a common name to confuse between a vehicle that went through the auction and that did not go through the auction. And that's why I tell people, importing a vehicle from Japan, sometimes the process of bringing the car, it is not very complicated, because if your vehicle has been loaded onto that ship, it will arrive to Kenya after 30 days. Arriving at Mombasa, if it is a 2019 vehicle and above, no problem with KRA. It will be cleared and you will get it. But the headache is at the vehicle selection and guaranteeing yourself that you have done the due diligence to the best of your ability to get the best car. So going back to my point, when dealers do their own in-house rating of the vehicle, sometimes they don't have standard reference criteria. Okay? They don't have, what can I say, a common way of rating. Every dealer, depending on their inspector, will grade that vehicle differently. But if you have, let's say, one of the most popular auction houses I mentioned in my last videos, let's say TAA is one of the biggest auction marketplace run by Toyota in Japan. They have thousands of vehicles that pass through the yard, okay, per month. They have very experienced inspectors. They have their conditions for ratings that are very strict. So any vehicle that has been rated by an auction house, it will follow the same criteria. There is no feeling, there is no emotions. In any case, these auction houses, they don't own the vehicles. These vehicles belong to individuals. So they will grade them according to the standards that they have set for themselves. And in most cases, auction houses, they will compete to set the highest standards. But if you go directly to a dealer who is under no coercion, who is under no need to rate that car, but does it voluntarily, you can imagine, and they want to sell that vehicle anyway. So that's why I tell you guys, when you are sourcing for a car, don't just check the grade 4.5. Look at which auction house, which is the source of that auction sheet. And that's where I spoke about the auction sheet verification. There is a report that you need to obtain about the auction sheet or the vehicle condition sheet of that vehicle before you go too far. Okay? Once you verify that sheet, auction sheet or the information sheet, then you can proceed now to the vehicle background check. Go and look at the history of service, history of accident, other histories, just to see if that vehicle has actually ever been in a bad place and then repaired, or it has been in and out of auctions. You are able to see that. But the most important is who is rating that vehicle that you are buying. Grade 4.5, grade 5 is not just enough. It has to be 4.5 according to a certain standard that is applied across board. Okay? If you have any question, my WhatsApp number is there. Reach out to me. We arrange coffee somewhere and discuss about all this stuff and, share with you the information and the trajectory that I followed to bring in my vehicle here that is giving me very, very good service. Actually, the last week, during the weekend, I did around 200 kilometers, and I got an average of 17 kilometers with 1 liter. Imagine, with a 2000cc vehicle. So may God give all of you the grace of having money to buy bigger vehicles, because operating them is not as expensive as we thought. There are people who say that I cannot go above 1500cc, I cannot go above 1800cc because those vehicles are guzzlers. I think the era of guzzling is gone. But the beauty is that this vehicle can be a guzzler if you want, because it has a sport mode. It has options for you to rev, from 2 all the way to 8. So if you want to cruise at a crazy speed, you can still do it, but you pay for it. Okay? If you want a comfortable vehicle that you can cruise at a fair speed of between 80 and 100, and have the fuel consumption of a small car, that this vehicle gives you that option. So yeah, if you guys have the money, don't fear. Cross the bridge, go above 2000cc, and I can tell you, I'll keep updating you about the fuel consumption and the behavior of this car as we monitor the value that I will get over time. All right, guys. So see you, and wishing you a very beautiful week ahead.